What's good, everybody? Hope everybody is well. Let me adjust these settings here. All right, let me. Hope everybody is well, making your dreams come true, doing things, making big moves, making small moves that become big moves, small moves, medium moves. Eventually, they become large moves, right? On my way for a workout, but wanted to drop this one real quick. It's not going to be a long one. I got a couple of videos to show, so here we go.
I want to tell you about 3 dating paradoxes that I saw. So, the first dating paradox for men is this idea that now that women are providers and do not need a man to take care of them financially, they really want guys to step up with emotional support. But here's the paradox: they were not raised and they don't know how to give that emotional support or emotional availability. So, we know women, even if they have the same number of friends as guys, the women are talking to their friends much more often. Women speak to their kids, even starting at a very young age. They use more emotional language with their daughters and their sons. So constantly we have this feeling where we're asking men to do something when they don't have the skills. I was talking to my friend David, and he said women are in graduate school when it comes to emotional conversations, and guys are in third grade.
Right.
The other part of the paradox is that women are asking men to be more emotionally open, but then they get shamed when they do that. So we have this great quote from Brene Brown where she says, "We beg guys to open up, we beg them to let us in, and then when they do, we can't stomach it." And I heard that over and over in my research. There's this quote where a guy says, "A woman would rather see me die on the white horse than fall off of it." And so there's this sense that I have to be perfect, I have to be the masculine and the feminine, but I don't have the skills to do that. And women say that they want these guys to be emotional, but as soon as they show emotionality, it can freak those women out. So one guy that I spoke to for this said, "I went on a few dates with this woman. At some point, I told her that my mom had had a suicide attempt. And the next day, she texted me and said, 'I'm sorry, I can't see you. I cannot process your emotional trauma for you.'" And so guys are getting a lot of mixed messages. We want you to be feminine, we want you to support us, but when you do, it freaks us out. And so we don't want that. And digging into the research, and I want to look into this more, I think it's that a lot of women want emotional support. They want you to support them in their emotional journeys, but they're not as ready to have you open up in your emotional journey.
Can I put forward a thesis and I want you to
Yeah.
respond to it because I haven't done the research? In marketing, we call it consumer dissonance, what people say they want
Yeah.
and then what they actually buy. And what women say they want is an emotionally in touch man, and what they want is a masculine man. And that they will articulate what they want in a man, and it includes being more emotionally available. And then they want to have sex with a traditional masculine man. And what I hear from a lot of, and this is anecdotal evidence, and it's pulse marketing, and you tell me what the data says, but there's just so many single women in my age group, and it feels like there's literally no men in my age group. As bad as it is for people in their 20s and 30s, try
Yeah.
being a woman in your 50s trying to date, right? And they tell me the same thing. These are liberal, progressive, educated women. They say, by the way, I like a manly man.
Yeah.
And they say it under their breath. So there's what supposedly is stated around, I need more emotional availability, someone's touch with their feelings. But what the research shows is they want a guy with facial hair, who's still, women are still very attracted to
Mhm.
traditional masculine attributes.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're
All right, so we watched the videos. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the rate, subscribe, like button as we jump into this. Not long ago, I made a video about weak men, where they come from. I'm pretty sure that it has dropped before I released this one, but I wanted to also just kind of put out there this idea that men. What I didn't address in the video about weak men is that, unfortunately, and I did address this in the video that I did, a reaction to um, the lawyers, the lawyer and the preacher, the pastor having a debate, which wasn't a debate. But what I wanted to address is this idea that I think that is often overlooked, that I don't hear it talked about enough, and that is inside relationships, inside marriages. Oftentimes, men get beat down. Men get beat down because they're in situations where they have lost control and power. And this is why a lot of men are refusing to get married anymore, because they recognize that it's nothing more than the loss of power at the to the ladies by the hands and the enforcement of the state. Let me say it again slowly for the people in the back. Many men are recognizing that the state takes the power, your autonomy, your money, your time, your energy, and puts it into the hands of the ladies in your life. And this is an unfortunate truth that I think a lot of people have to deal with. I'm not talking about, I have to come to the realization of, I'm not talking about guys who are deadbeats abandoning their children, not paying support, not being supportive, all that. Obviously, I guess I need to say it, is that the men need to take care of their children, obviously. But what I want to be specific about is this idea that your time, your intelligence, all that you have can, at the whim of someone else, be moved out of your arena, out of your care, out of your power, and placed in the hands of another. And that is an untenable circumstance. That is something that many men are saying, no, I'm not going to sign up for that, where I have an obligation, as one lawyer said. If you watch the video that I played about the lawyer and the pastor, the first video I played was a lawyer saying that the hands of the state, the things that men are due, or in particular the breadwinner, more than likely the men, have an obligation that there is no equivalent of what the ladies would have to provide.
The key problem I have with marriage as it is done currently here in the West and in other places, but certainly the clay in which I work, is that there are certain promises the law can enforce, and there are certain promises it can't. We acknowledge that if we say the quiet part out loud, that in the majority of heterosexual marriages, the man brings protection and providing, and the woman brings kindness, warmth, and care, right? And sex. That's the economy. That's the economy. I didn't make that up. Don't get fucking mad at me in the comments. I didn't make it up. It was here before me. It's going to be here after me, I promise, right? So that's the game. That's the economy. His roles, his obligations are enforceable by law. So state power can be used to enforce his obligations, not hers. The court cannot order her to be nice to him, or to fuck him, or to stay pretty, or to stay sweet and friendly to him and kind to him, or speak nicely of him, or raise the children in a meaningful way that, creates value to him instead of teaching them to disrespect him, right? But his promises in that, shelter, food, financial obligations, court can force you to do that. And if you don't do it, they can put you in jail, or they can take away your driver's license, your professional licenses. So what is that? When you have a contract where only one side is enforceable by law under penalty of law, like, that is a dangerous game to play if you're a man, period.
If I am the breadwinner and I'm providing food, shelter, clothing, and all the other things that money can buy in order for people to sustain their life and livelihood, I am still on the hook for that come our relationship break down. Conversely, if the same situation happened, the relationship breaks down, there's nothing that someone who's not the breadwinner, in particular the ladies, are obligated to provide. They don't have to provide love, affection, they don't have to treat the children well, although I would debate with that as far as being, in the criminal realm, right? Because neglect is a form of abuse, and if you neglect your children, you can have them taken away. But they don't have to. She don't have to speak nice to you as a man, former spouse. She don't have to do none of those obligations. They dole out half the money, but they won't dole out half the. You gotta go love him half the time. They don't dole out any of that. So one has to really understand that before they get into it. This guy, Scott Galloway, and this particular lady, Harvard trained behaviorist turned life coach, dating coach, relationship expert, using her Harvard education to now help women to meet men. And she is recognizing that these high-powered women that she's running into don't want soft, weak, emotionally available men. Don't believe them when they talk this. Don't believe them when they say they want it, because they can't handle it. And again, this is not me saying, this is not just me saying it. This is what we're seeing. The people don't care. I did another video about this. People don't care about men's emotional issues. They don't care about our higher self-deletion rates. They don't care that we're not entering the workforce and we're feeling lonely. They don't care if we are suffering from depression. They don't care if we've been laid off. Get yourself together, suck it up, take a week off, get yourself together, and get back on the grind. That is what is expected of a man. No time to dally in the woods, to self-reflect, to get you got to get yourself together. They don't care. And I don't mean to harp on this, but I'm saying this to the men out there to say, listen, you got to do what's best for you. You have to level up. You have to get it together. You have to go to therapy. You have to have a good core of friends. You have to talk to your pastor, talk to your father, talk to someone who wants to listen, who actually cares about you. Join a men's group. Online, in person, do something, talk, because we, contrary to popular belief, we hurt, we bleed, we have emotions, we have feelings, we go through pain, we are deeply saddened when we don't see our kids, we're hurt when our relationships break up. You know, self-deletion rates for men are through the roof when they go through divorce because they lost their sense of purpose, they lost their family, they lost their many times they lost their finances, but it's mostly the emotional and psychological connections that they had with their children, with their spouse, that is gone. And people don't care. I was on scene seeing men break down because we were forcing them out of their homes or arresting them. I saw it. I saw men showing up for meetings. To drop the kid off for meetings, breaking out and crying because a woman was playing games. Had to arrest women sometimes because they wouldn't abide by these different court orders and stuff, or at least a lot of times just document what was going on so they could take it at another time. Absolutely crazy, absolutely crazy. And so these games are played, and guys are supposed to suck it up and believe all women, and people hurt us. And listen. This is what men are going through. This is what we're dealing with. This is how we're going through this. Yeah. I didn't bring any water. On it. So this is what we're dealing with, going through and all that. And people don't care. I don't mean to harp on this. This is like the second video I made in a while, in a short period of time, kind of detailing this. But listen. This is real for a lot of men. We're dealing with this stuff. We're suffering through these types of things. We got to push through it. We got to toughen up, push through it, be hard, be stoic and all this kind of stuff. And listen, no matter what they say, no matter what the ladies say, they want this, that, and the other. You saw Scott Galloway, whispering under their breath that these women who are liberal, who believe in voting and, baby deletions and all this woke stuff that's going on out here. But at the end of the day, who do they want to crawl in bed with? Who do they want to crawl in bed with? A guy who speaks his mind, a guy who's on his game, on his purpose, who's got masculine tendencies, masculine features, who is got facial hair and deep voice, the facial hair, the height, the money, the social status. This is what they're looking for. So don't believe this wimpy, mamby-pamby, all this kind. No, they don't want that. They may say it's good for that guy over there. They may say it's good for society, and this is what we want in the marketplace, and this is what we want on our college campuses and our universities. This is what we want in the workplace. But who do they want in the bedroom? So listen, guys, get yourself together. Get in the gym. I'm going for a walk myself. Eat right, eat healthy, change things up, right? And make the best of your life. Go to school. Educate yourself. Work on yourself. Work on your self-esteem. Work on your command presence. Work on your ability to speak to your boss, coworkers, mates. You got to work on that. Stop wallowing in the pit of, self-defeat. And a lot of, I can understand when some people are saying, when some people are talking and bashing the red pill space, the manosphere kind of space, because, I don't believe in pity parties. I don't believe in just having pity parties. coming together to trauma bond or whatever they want to call it, just to talk about how bad the opposite sex is. Okay, that's great. Okay, we've had that discussion. We know what it is. We know what the divorce laws are. We know what child support laws are. We know what happens when you're in certain such situations. We know about the Me Too movement. We know about how we got to move in this space. We know about videotaping people at gyms. We know about talking to women when they're at the parking lot. We know they've chosen the bear. We've heard this all. But what are you doing? What are you doing? So at the end of the day, when we listened to this, we've had a good laugh, and we talked about our problems and our concerns, and talked about this and talked about that. At the end of the day, what have we done? What have we done? Have we gone to school? Have we read a book? Have we listened to a positive podcast? Have we made some moves? Have we applied for a promotion? Have we started a business? Are you taking out loans? Are you reading? What are you doing? What's your plan? What's your plan? That's what it's got to be at the end of the day. Are you moving forward? Because as I'm trying to demonstrate is that the world is not going to stop to hold your hand or to pat you on the back or to let you cry on their shoulder. And if they do it, it'll be somebody who's close to you and they'll let you do it for a little while. But after a while, you got to suck it up. You got to suck it up, Buttercup, and you got to keep moving, keep pressing, and keep going forward, right? So that's my message for today. I hope that I said something that is going to inspire people. I'm not trying to tear anybody down, trying to build you up, trying to lift you up, and trying to get you to get on game, get on purpose, and get going, get moving, get motivated. Because people out here, they're not interested. They're not interested in that. They're not interested. We can want it to change. We can want it to change. We can talk about change. The people on the panel with Scott and the lady and the guy from the clip, the host there, we can talk about it all at the end of the day. But Scott made an excellent point. Underneath their breath, and then they're whispering, "I want a manly man." So that's what I want you to take. They want a manly man. They want a manly man who is a leader, protector, provider, who is on this game, who is intelligent, who is strong, who is independent, who is a critical thinker, who is decisive. This is the things that they are looking for. So don't believe this other garbage about this and that, and they want equality. They don't want none of that. They think that they do. Well, some do. Let me say it like that. Some do. But no matter what, at the end of the day, you got to be you. And if they want a beta male, a beta secondary type of male who goes along to get along, okay, then that's what they want. But I'm talking to men who are sigmas and who are alphas, or at least trying to become alphas. And you have to have alpha type qualities and tendencies, and you have to develop them. You have to work on them. You have to think about them. You have to reflect on them. And anything about you that's beta, you have to suppress that if this is the life that you want, right? So one thing I do say about the red pill is, many times these men in these particular spaces will say, "I wish that somebody would have told me this sooner. I wish that I would have had this growing up." And listen, I'm going to say this as a 52-year-old guy. There's a lot of things I had to figure out along the way that were hard knocks, that people can just listen to a podcast or two, read a book or two, and you can have a constant stream of self-affirmations or affirming material, and you can really make some changes and really get your head together as a guy who's struggling to know who you are, what you are, what your purpose is, where you're going in life. There's so much motivation type of material out here, it's ridiculous. Right? So if you grew up like myself without a father, and you maybe had some trouble with the law, or trouble with women, or trouble on your job, or trouble regulating your emotions, or trouble dealing with your parents, and trouble, and you really want to get it together, or if you know someone, maybe you're a young lady listening to this, and you know someone who's dealing with that type of thing, or has gone through that type of stuff, this is the perfect time and the perfect place, the perfect time in 2025 and beyond, I would assume, that we can really get ourselves together. And there's material out here that's really trying to help some men become the best versions of themselves, to move forward, to love themselves. And when you love yourself, when you have purpose, when you have goals, when you're driven, then you can invite somebody else into your world, and you can love them properly. You won't have to become abusive. You won't have to continue the abusive patterns that you saw your parents do. You saw how your father treated your mother, or you saw your father run out. But you can change your thought patterns. You can change all that, and become a different person, become a better version of every traumatic situation that you grew up with. And you can change it. You can determine to be somebody different, and you can bring someone in your life. You can have some kids, and you can love them the way that you didn't receive the love. You can talk to them the way that nobody talked to you. You can choose to be different. You can choose to be different, and that's what I'm calling for. That's what I'm looking for you guys to be different and to move forward and to be the best versions of yourselves. I hope I said something that was encouraging. Going for a walk, get this thing in. Much love and peace.